Hey guys, Mark with Spiguyver Backpacking. And I've been thinking about doing something for a while, so I decided today I was going to sit down and try and figure it out. So, I've shown some videos of my Spiguyver stove and how good that works. Super lightweight, super effective at boiling water. But I was looking for something that I could still go lightweight and maybe do some backpack or backcountry uh, baking, some dry baking while I'm out backpacking. So I came up with some designs, tested them out, and they just weren't quite living up to what I was hoping for. So I finally came up with a little design here, and it nests several of the key components together. So it starts out with a Spiguyver stove, a baking ring, which actually nests right onto the stove so that you can carry it all as one piece. So there's the baking ring. And then from just a soda can, I came up with a little bit of a sleeve so that we can keep a little bit of the airflow out and keep the temperature down so we can do it. It's kind of like a simmer ring. I've seen people do some simmer rings for some of the cat can stoves, and this is very similar. So these three pieces, the Spiguyver stove, baking ring, and the simmer ring, make up what I'm gonna be using today. Try and do some dry baking. So I've got some Bisquick mixed up. I've got my batch stove's 12-ounce cup with a piece of parchment paper in it, and it's greased. I have my batch stove's 10 cm pot with lid. So the way that it'll work is I will put the baking ring down inside, center it, set in the 12 ounce with the Bisquick inside of it, put the lid on. This will go together, and this will sit on it, and we'll see what we come up with. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything set up. I'll come back to you once it's set up, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so here's what we've got. I've got the batch stoves kit with, right now, the 12 ounce inside, about a third full, with the Bisquick mix. It's been greased. There's parchment paper in the bottom. We'll see whether or not that adds anything. I've got 25 milliliters of fuel in the stove. The ring is around it. It's all sitting on my insulator. So I'm going to go ahead and start it up. Let it come to a bloom, which it has. Set this on here slowly, let it warm up a little bit. And it's going. It's a nice small flame, so we'll see whether or not that's enough. I've got the timer set for 25 minutes, so we'll come back in 25 minutes and see how it's doing. One of the things you find as you're doing this is that you really have to adjust how you have your windscreen set up, how close, in order to regulate the flame pattern. I had it way too close for a while, and so the flame pattern actually got bigger than what I wanted. And so it's taken a while for it to come back down, but it's getting back down to about where I want it, where it's just kind of coming out of the little holes and licking the sides of the pot. So I took a second to check it at about just before 25 minutes, and it was still pretty liquidy. I think part of that has to do with just the consistency of what I had put in there. I'd started with something that was very liquid, so it's going to take a little bit longer for that to set up and bake up. But looked like it was starting to do something, so we'll check back. I put another 5 minutes on the clock. We'll check back in and see where it is there. So I just took the top off of it to take a little peek, see where it's at. Let me show you what we've got so far. So it looks like it's starting to do what it's supposed to do. You know, it's kind of separated from the walls of it a little bit. I think I'll stick a toothpick in it and see what it's doing. Still comes out pretty dirty, so we'll put the top on, let it keep going. Got a decent little breeze out here today that keeps coming up, and so it's been important that I have the windscreen on here. Just have to make sure that I'm leaving the side that's not upwind. So the wind is coming from this direction. So I've got this side protected. I don't have it in too close where it's holding in too much heat, and I'm leaving this side open, and that seems to be working really well. When I had it wrapped really close, it was actually heating up too much. So there's the timer. I'm going to go ahead and take another look in. Give it one more check. It comes out pretty clean, so I'm going to give it about one more minute. I'm going to pull it off, let it cool down, and then I'll show you how it comes out of the pan. So what I've heard is if you let it sit for a little while and let it cool down, it's a little bit easier to get out. But we're going to see how it goes just now. So it's still really hot. Got my 12 ounce. So that seems to work pretty good. There's the piece of parchment paper. Came off of there. You can see inside of the pot, very, very little to clean out afterwards. You know, it seems to have created a nice muffin, if you will. Golden, no burn spots, hot. But it's dense. Let's ooh, yeah, that's hot. You know, cooked all the way through. So, you know, I would say that so far this looks like it was a success. And this was using 12-ounce batch stoves, cook pot, the 10-centimeter batch stoves cook pot, the ring that I made, the baking ring, the Spiguyver stove, and the simmer ring that I made to put around it. So far this looks like it worked. The one thing I will say is I've been using the carbon felt as an insulator below the stove itself, and what I found here was that because of the weight of the stove of the pots with the muffin in it was pushing down, the gap that I created just under an 1/8 of an inch gap between the pot and the top of this simmer ring. But as the weight pressed down, it actually eliminated that, and so all that was left were the holes. So I took it off of the insulator and just put it on this glass tabletop to keep that gap. Here, I'll show you the gap that I'm talking about. Here you can see there's that gap there, and that's what I wanted to keep. When I took that away like this, when it set on here, what happened was the weight pushed it down and took away that gap, and so that didn't create the airflow in there that it needed to keep it at the simmer. So this is a learning experience, but it shows that it worked. So now I can go out by just adding in a couple of extra pieces to my already lightweight, 5-gram Spiguyver stove, probably adding another 2, maybe 3 grams. I've got a cook kit that I can dry bake in. So now let's see how it tastes. Tastes like a pancake, which makes sense since that's what it was made from. So guys, keep watching. I'll keep doing it. You guys get out there and do it. I'll see you on the trail.